Greetings all, Shardvixen here. I just said that. Double take. This is not a regular vlog. We're gonna talk about COPPA, FTC, family friendly, and what it means to me. Now, this is only to me, but I will have the information down below that we'll talk about. We'll let you know for you where to go. Okay. So asking me questions is okay, but really this is only about me. It's about what I'm going to do with my family friendly channel. If you're like, oh, you have a family friendly channel? I didn't know that. Well, now you know. But it's going to be really hard to find. So, so that's one of the things we're going to talk about. I don't make any money off my channels. And I don't know that my channels are ever going to be monetized. Not because I won't be able to get to 1,000 people, which is what was required for monetization, but because mostly for me, I don't believe in the ads. I don't like the ads. On my YouTube, when I watch through my PC, my ads are turned off. I don't watch ads, which I'm sorry to any of you who make money off of ads that I watch. I try to make donations when I can, and I support you by sharing and things like that, so other people who have money might be able to support you. When I only started my family friendly channel because when I started my channel, which originally was Grammy Plays Games, I have changed it to Shardvixen's Den, because everywhere on the internet is it's either Shardvixen or the Den, and I don't really feel like that people saw me as a Grammy, which is fine. Shirley Curley is the grandma of YouTube, and there are other grandmas out there that people like to watch, so it's fine. At the time I started, I thought there wasn't that many people out there, and of course, very quickly I realized there was lots of grandmas out there and grandpas. And there are a lot of vixens too, don't get me wrong, but people always want to call me anything they want to call me, so I just did it because I wanted all my internet stuff to be connected. That's why I have Shardvixen's Magnificent channel, which I named it that because I really wanted to be Shardvixen and not, after a couple of months, not Grammy, but I went ahead and kept Grammy at the time because I was going to make it work. Make it work. It's not working for me, so we changed it. In case you had that dying desire to know of that. Anyway, my grandson at the time was 2, and my son was 12. Thus, both of them would be in that age category of children's stuff. My grandson loved Ryan's World, which used to be Ryan's Toy Review. And my son was a big, huge Jacksepticeye fan. Huge. So, lots of little kids. I get lots of kids watch him, apparently. And he's considered adult content, but 13, 12 is pretty close to 13. There isn't much difference between 12 and 13, really, in the way the brain works. Educators like to think there is, but really what it is that the big change for teens, real quick, it's puberty. Once a person's puberty hits and they've pretty much in the middle of it or almost completed, they are an adult, okay? Their brain has gotten to that point of almost maturity, because at the end of puberty, that's what happens, is your brain begins to mature into adult thing. A lot of people, the ages of actual adulthood, though, for a brain are a lot older than 18, because that time period that's the teenage brain is anywhere at the start of puberty and a little bit after the puberty. And then they think differently. Because the chemicals that go to the brain that make the parts of the brain work, the frontal lobe isn't working as much as other parts of the brain are working. And so that's a big difference from, from little kids, because little kids are in a mode, for the most part, until puberty hits. Their brain is to absorb information and do exactly as they're told. So they learn better by example. Once you hit puberty, it's all about learning about how to make those decisions of everything you've absorbed in your lifetime up to that, to be your good, to be able to live on your own, let's say. It's not that you really live on your own. It's just that your brain no longer really needs your parents or teachers or anything like that to show you what to do. You're taking that information and you're now using it to learn how to do it yourself. That's how the brain works. Okay, it's not very conducive to how we set our society up, but that's pretty much how the brain works. Anyway, to get back to it, my grandson was 2 and he wanted to play video games with me when I made videos. So I thought, well, I personally believe in COPPA. I think that we need a child online privacy protection, but they didn't do it the way I think they should have done it. And I knew about COPPA a long time ago when I was going to school in the 2000s, because you're required to, as a teacher, counselor, or child psychiatrist, or clinical psychiatrist who might be working with children, therapist of any type, you're required to understand the ramifications of using the internet when working with children. That being said, anyway, so my grandson, and so I thought, well, we'll start doing it where it's me, my grandson, and my son, and we'll play video games. But I didn't want to put it on Grammy Plays Games. I wanted, because that was my adult channel. It was specifically for adults. It said that. Adult themes, adult language. Because I cuss. And I do other things, though. Cussing to me is not the biggest problem. It's the conversations we might be having that children may not understand. And I don't mind explaining it to them, but again, those are those kind of conversations that they need permissions from their parents to absorb, okay? And have their parents sit down and talk to them. That's really what information is about, okay? At a certain age, you need someone to filter that information for you and help you understand it in your contents. And little guys can't do that without an adult or someone who knows what's going on. But it's like everything else. If the people who are talking to you don't understand what's going on, then you're getting false information as well. An example of that, this is going to be a weird tangent, is that if you're teaching your children about sex ed, but you're not telling them about sex ed, you're telling them about, oh, babies come from the magic cabbage in the front yard or the backyard. Their contents, even though that's cute because they're 2, they're going to be, yeah, well, let's have a baby. How do we do that, And then I remember one little kid telling me, I'm going to have a baby soon. And they're like, really? Yeah, I went out and planted my little seed in the garden, that mama told me about. And I was like, hey, how do I explain this to this child who's having some issues? But I can't, because without the parents' consent, you can't tell the child the truth. You have to go along. We lie to our children all the time. We tell stories to our children, which is technically a type of lying, if you think about it, because they don't know the difference. Anyway, so my grandson and my son and I made Shardvixen's Magificent channel. Then I decided I'd put crafting on that channel to put it up, to have more stuff on there. And I'd put anything that I didn't think should be just on my adult channel. And we post there off and on. Now, we've been doing that for about 3 years. And my grandson, Boo Boy, he wants to make videos. That's what he wanted to do for a while. But he's 5, so we just work when he's feeling like it. So we don't always post. My son and I, sometimes I post it on that channel, and sometimes I post it on my adult channel, because we are using adult-themed video games that him and I play together. And again, because I know my son, and I know what contents he understands. He is now at an age where he knows the difference. Boo Boy is still at an age where part of him, because of like Santa Claus or other things that people talk about, God and things like that, there are things that exist that don't exist in our reality. So to him, there's no difference, and don't get upset, there's really no difference, and this is for most kids, between God, Santa Claus, and Darth Vader. They don't live in our world, but they exist. Teletubbies and things like that. Okay? So, getting back to it, now COPPA is not about regulating content. And that's where I think a lot of people are getting very confused about. COPPA is about regulating information. The idea about COPPA was that children aren't giving away their information. They're not saying what their name is, where they live, who they live with, what kind of money they're making, who's, how many people are in the family, what their address is not about what you're showing to the kids. It's not a rating. It's not a PG rating. It's nothing like that. all it's about is that you are doing what you have to do to protect the privacy of children. And YouTube failed at that. YouTube didn't even inform the creators that they needed that. So that's their big failure. Then Google bought them. The thing is, too, is they knew they were in violation of it. Okay? They knew that because there's research showing out there that they were selling to the big toy companies the information they had gathered, the statistics they had gathered on the privacy of children, like what the age of the children that watching the show was, who, where they were living, what their economic income was. They were gathering this information without the specific permission of the parents, because a lot of the children were watching YouTube without signing in. Okay, so that's one of the things. And then a lot of children were signing in, and people were allowing them to have a channel. So COPPA, just so you're clear, is not about rating. COPPA could care less what you're putting out there as content. That's not what COPPA does. COPPA is just about protecting who watches it if they're under the age of 13. Because they can't make a conscious decision to say, yes, Mr. Predator out there, here's where I live. That was the fear about COPPA. COPPA was trying to protect children who might give out information to people they didn't know were out there watching them. But that COPPA can't do what it wanted to do, because the internet is set up in a way that it's very hard to prove who you are. You can be anybody. As we know from a lot of these different videos that you've watched where men say, I met this beautiful woman. I spent a lot of money on her. I go down to meet her and I find out she's a guy, or I find out she's not who she said she was, or she's underage. So, that is a problem with the internet. Not COPPA, not YouTube, nothing. It's very hard to know who's watching what and who's doing what. You have adult people pretending they're children, talking to children online. You have adult people making comments on children's videos. You have people who are time-stamping it because they want one particular spot of where you might have seen a little girl doing this or a little boy doing something that, is very provocative to those people. And so YouTube wasn't making a way of protecting children. That's it. But that's not just YouTube. It is everybody. Before YouTube, TikTok had gotten hit hard for the same issue because they were unable to protect the privacy of the children who were watching, and children weren't supposed to be watching. Because technically that's what you have to think about here, is that YouTube was allowing videos for children when children really aren't supposed to be watching it per se. It's 13 and over is what YouTube's thing is. So everybody under 13, 12 and down shouldn't have been watching YouTube. And you didn't really have to sign in to YouTube. You can watch YouTube without signing in. That was the other problem. You were unable to know who's actually watching what if they're not signing in. Okay, the way they fixed that was that they made it you couldn't comment unless you signed in. I really think that they should make it that you can't comment unless you subscribe, but that's just me. Anyhow, so that's that thing. COPPA is not regulating what you do. Neither is the FTC. They're not regulating what you put on or not put on your channel. What they are saying, though, based on COPPA, which COPPA doesn't even say at all, FTC is telling you that if you put content down that is appealing to children, then you are a child channel, or at least an everybody channel. And if you're an everybody channel, meaning you run the whole range, family friendly is the term for that, because adults and kids can watch you, then you have to have a way to protect the privacy of the children. Now, one of the things that a lot of people didn't understand too, and YouTube knew but probably didn't care, being they're a company and not an individual, is that if you have a good way of collecting the information and the parents give you permission, then you can have the content and kids can watch it. YouTube, though, for some particular reason, which I have my own theories about, and they are only my theories, they're only my opinion, and it's all based on what would be considered a logical thing, not a crazy logic, just a logic, based on what we know about companies. YouTube could set it up that when people signed in to watch the family-friendly, child content-friendly, whatever, videos, that they were being, there was a permission it had to do. Now, how that can work in various ways. If you want to see some ways or suggestions that seem very interesting, Hogue Law is one of the videos I'm going to share. He makes some comments about some good ways that he's seen that happen on the internet. But it's not just YouTube. It's everyone. TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Mixer. All of them are, if they're based in the United States, they have a law that they have to follow that says they have to protect the rights, privacy rights of children. And you cannot get the information unless the parents are giving you the permission to pick up the information. All right. So that's that spaghetti of a mess, because it's a spaghetti. So the FTC, though, knew that YouTube, they asked them over and over, do you do content for kids, and do you have a way to protect their privacy? And YouTube kept saying, we don't do kids, we do 13 and above, which is children, so it's always interesting to me. But they meant little guys, ones who can't understand what you're asking them when you say, where do you live? I know you all know this, because you can ask some kids and they will tell you where they live, even after you tell them about stranger danger. My grandson will bring everybody home to his house because he just wants to be friends to everybody. My daughter would have walked away with people if they had animals and pets. I mean, that's just, my son was probably the only one, he'd just look at people. He never was very into people, so if they tried to talk to him, he never said anything. They'd have to they could have probably picked him up, moved him around, and that'd be fine. So, I only had a problem if you're doing censorship. The problem with the FTC and the COPPA is that COPPA is saying it's okay if your parents give you rights. The FTC, though, is kind of saying, well, even if your parents give you the right, we're not sure that that's really okay. And it's only because what they've done is they have such very vague ideas of what is considered children content. And that's where the biggest deal is. Now, everybody's in an uproar, and the reason everybody's in an uproar is very, very simple reason. It's because they will make no money on their channels at this point in time. They have, YouTube, for whatever reason, has just completely thrown the baby and the bathwater and the tub out the window. Now, it's been suggested on one of the other guys that I watch, is that maybe they're doing this because they want time to figure out how to build a more comprehensive protection entry level. So meaning maybe they're making everybody say who's child content and taking them off of the ad revenue for just this period of time while they figure out a way to set up a way to give permission to the parents, so that parents who are signing their children in will say, yes, it's all right if you take this information and use it. Because YouTube made an awful lot of money off of the ads, just ads alone on the child content. It was, I'm not going to say this is for sure, but what I've heard on many of the sites is about $50 billion, in revenue in 2018. That's a lot of freaking money. So I could imagine why they lied and said, no, we are not letting little kids watch this, because that's a big dent being taken out that they would have to take care of. And they would have to spend money to do that. So it would be easier at this point to just say, we're going to shut it down for a little bit and see where it goes. My question will be, and this is a question I've heard on a lot of the YouTube channels, is after January, will they be making it so that people who have family-friendly channels will be able to get ad revenue, because they will set up a way of taking information and being allowed to personalize that ads? That will be what's going to be interesting. And if they don't, then we'll know that YouTube is only after the money, and this is going to give them a chance to take all those ads that they were running on other people's channels and stick them someplace else. But I think that wouldn't be very conducive for them money-wise. I mean, it is and it isn't, because if they're only running the ads on their channels, that are owned specifically by YouTube, then they only have to pay whoever makes those videos. And if it's YouTube that's making the videos, all the money stays in-house. If they decide that of all those channels they have out there that are over 1 million subscribers who are making an awful lot of money for them and for the creators, and it's worth giving that money out, which very rarely, sometimes it is. I mean, because that's an outsourcing that you're doing. So they're gonna really have to decide if that outsourcing is making them more money or if they can do it themselves. And that's going to be the question. That's what's going to motivate them to decide if they're going to allow for family-friendly child content to be getting the ads. So that's why people are upset. It's not that COPPA and FTC are telling you what you need to put. What they're doing is telling YouTube that they have to regulate and keep the privacy of children private. What YouTube is doing is they're saying, okay, fine, we'll just shut it all off for whatever reason. We can only cross our fingers that it's because they're going to set up a new program. We're going to shut it all off and see what happens. If you think about it, by having everybody say that they have child content or don't have child content, that gives them a much easier way of finding out who's the ones they're going to end up paying and who's the ones they don't have to worry about. It also will help with changing up how the ads are set up. It's just going to be easier for them to collect the data if they have everybody in one corner. But the issue will be is that the problem is that for channels like who do crafting and who, well, an example for me, I do animation. So on my regular channel, I post my animation. My animation could be seen under the FTC as being child content. It's not, and if you watch it, then it would be very obvious that it's not. And in fact, it's for anybody. I mean, it's not directed towards children. It's not directed to anybody. Most of my animation is intros and things like that. It's just me practicing what I'm doing. But an FTC person wouldn't know that. So if they're watching it and they see cartoons or they see animation, they may decide that that content is child content. The same thing as the AI bots may decide, I hate calling them AI, so we'll just call them the bots. The bots that YouTube have may see things in my thumbnail or stuff that says animation, and they may decide, oh, that's definitely for kids. At that point, then they can change my content on that video. And then I have the right to say, wait, that's not what it is. But they are most likely, they have already said they're probably not going to listen to anybody at this point in time. Because they're not going to go through every single video and argue with you whether animation is a childlike thing or not. And that's where the problem is. Now, I shared the information across YouTube and stuff because, and all my social media, because you right now still have a chance, and I'll have to look it up and put it down below how long you have. I think it's December 9th or 19th. I'm not positive which one it is. To write your views about this to the FTC. When you do, what you want to address will not be about, this is so unfair and I hate you guys. There are channels out there who do content that seems like it's child content, but it's not specifically made for children. There's content that's family friendly, meaning everybody can watch it because it's like a crafting video or it's an educational video, but it's not necessarily written directly for children. And then there is content that is children content, and but we're not, those of us who are worried about it aren't worried about that. Now, those who are worried about it because of their money, they're just going to have to wait. I mean, you could write the FTC and say, you know, this is so unfair, but if you go back and look at it, a lot of the lawyers did this for you. You can go and look. It's not legal advice, but you can go look, and they show and point it out. They technically, as a creator, it is your job and responsibility to make sure whatever platform you're putting your information on is following COPPA if you live in the United States. If the parent company is in the United States, you need to make sure they're following the guidelines, even if you're not in the U.S. Now, will they be chasing everybody down like that? I don't know. I don't work in the FTC, so I don't know. So I, personally, will always go on the edge of, we'll always go to the side of what could possibly happen. Not what will happen, what could possibly happen. And the only thing I was worried about for me is them just telling me I can no longer upload to YouTube, which at this point isn't that big of a deal anymore, because I have decided I will leave Shardvixen's Magnificent channel where it is for now. I'm not uploading anything at this point. I have a couple videos and puppet stuff that's in the works, but I'm just going to wait and see what happens in January. I'm kind of hoping that YouTube is going to figure out a better way to make it so that when you put your content out there, they are going to have a way of protecting children's privacies. Boo Boy really likes streaming. As a child content channel, he can't stream on my channel. He can't even stream on my regular channel because the FTC's rules say that if kids actors are in the video, and I'm going to guess their voices as well, then it's a child content video. So, and that would be hard to argue. I mean, he's 5, so I'm guessing 5-year-olds might want to watch him. I don't know. I don't know how many 5-year-olds watch 5-year-olds play video games. It's not my area of expertise. You would have to go and ask YouTube that, you see. And YouTube wasn't supposed to be keeping track of how many 5-year-olds were watching 5-year-olds. So, and the analytics can help you in that too. That's one of the other things that many of the lawyers said was, look at your analytics. If you have a lot of viewers that are under the age of 12, then you're probably got a child content. Something about you is very interesting to children, and you may want to think about how you want to do that. Maybe it's because you're playing with Legos. Maybe it's because you're playing with trains, or you have puppets, or you have whatever. So that's one of those things I've been thinking about. So Shardvixen's Magnificent channel for now is going to just stay where it's at. It's going to be frozen in time. It's after January, then I'm going to see if I can upload to it. The issue then also is, though, if you have a child content channel, the channel's not searchable, the video's not searchable, there's no comments to be made, which was going to upset Boo Boy because he really enjoys streaming. And if he's streaming, they're not going to allow for anybody to make comments on it. You can't talk to them. You can't, it's not searchable. There's no notification that's going on it. And, of course, no personal ads, but we don't have ads on our channel anyway. So, I know I'm saying so a lot, but that's how I get my brain to check it. You know, they teach you don't say or so when you're doing anything, but that's how I make my brain stay on task. So, but that's it, okay? So, I hate when I start to hear myself do it, sorry. Shardvixen's Magnificent channel is going to stay a family-friendly channel. You will only know when I put things up because I will announce it in my Discord or my Twitter, or it'll be on. I can't share the video ever. It cannot be shared anywhere from YouTube to anywhere else. So, if I do it, maybe I will post it. I can't post it anywhere else. I don't have any other upload ability. That's why, as of the new year, I will be taking some time off as soon as I get my new PC. I'm going to go to Twitch. I'm going to move to Twitch. Twitch will allow me to put video up. I can't put child-friendly stuff up there either, though. So Shardvixen's Magnificent channel is kind of in a black hole at the moment. And whatever I do with that, may just stay as a hobby, and I may just upload stuff so I have it there to the point when I have my own website and I can load up things on my website. Because now I have to think about also, which I already knew about COPPA, is that I'm not going to be gathering information for my website. I am not going to care who's watching, nor do I need to know for the analytics, because I'm just going to post whatever I want to post on my website, and you all just watch it or you don't watch it. My Patreon, of course, will reflect some of that stuff as well. And what everybody needs to know, though, is that they will be going through and looking at people's channels. I don't think, if you're not getting, and this is just me again, so don't quote me on this, but if you're not making any money, they're not going to care. All they're really worried about is if you've made money off that channel, and if that channel, and you didn't tell anybody that was a child friendly channel, so you were making money off the ads. That's the only thing they're a little concerned about right now, and that's just because they're going to make money off of you. So if you're a million subs channel like what am I thinking about? FGTV, Toys, Ryan's World already got hit with the FTC. Already hit them. They were the number one channel that they went after. They got hit around the same time YouTube did. FGTV, Hobby Kids, I think is the other one my grandson watched for a while. If you're any of those Daddy Fingers, the Family Fingers things, if you're any of those channels, they're going to be looking very closely at you and seeing, that you're making sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing as far as the Privacy Act. Now, the other question that everybody's been wondering is, what is this going to do for the future of YouTube's channels? We don't know. I don't know. I can't guess. If they don't do anything to help you protect children's privacy rights for collection, then really you're just going to be a hobby channel. You're just going to upload things, and if people watch it, they watch it. There won't be any money making off of those channels anymore. There'll be no way they can do it. So if they don't care about you, and they have decided that this was a free ride that has ended, and they're not going to invest any money in it, because they have to invest money on it to make a protection, a way to protect the privacy, of course, then those channels are all going to go, basically, everything's going to go, and that's the end of it. So what does that mean? Well, that means either YouTube another platform has to step up and say, oh, I'm going to be like YouTube, and you guys can just upload, and we'll put ads on it and whatever, which is right now is ripe for it. This would be the time if you were ever thinking about opening your own uploading video website like Dive or whatever. This would be the time to do it, and just make sure you put a privacy and make it for kids and put a privacy setup on it that only adults, they have to have adult permission, parent permission to be on there. This would be the time. You'd be ripe for it. This would be great. You'd be making millions because there's a need for it right now. Obviously, toy companies alone will pay so much money for that targeted audience. So, now's the time where you could get people to move from YouTube to move to yours and start it up. And, of course, starting up, nobody'd make any money. But this would be the time. If I was $1 million, if I had 1 million subs, or if I was like Ryan's World, they got 26 million. If I had 26 million subs, that's what I would do. I would take the money I'd invest and create a website that was a child content website, and I would set it up right in the way that YouTube didn't. And then I would just open my doors and say, come on over, like Mixer did, and said, hey, I'll pay you a percentage, tube you here to do your stuff here. And then I'd be hitting Mattel, I'd be hitting Hasbro, I'd be hitting them all and saying, look, I can promise there's privacy. And yes, I still have this collection of information I can sell to you, because YouTube's probably selling that information as well as using it to show that they have the audience. I would do that. I don't have that kind of money, but I wish I did, because if I did, that's what I would do. I would create a website out there for creators, for crafting and stuff like that to upload to. I think that the idea in itself of you uploading and making money as a creator is coming to an end. There's a lot of things that I personally believe in the economics world, that the people who have been doing business for a very long time who make money off of it don't want to share it. And they're very upset with YouTube and Mixer and Twitch and these places that make money off of it. As long as they weren't making the $50 billion as YouTube had done, they'd probably stay under the radar. But the object of a business is to make money. So, that being said, I'm only opening up a home business after the new year. I will be making steamer kits for small channels and convention kits for small channels who want to go to convention and want to have stuff to give out to their subs and people things. And these will, and they'll be small. So it'll be affordable, made gifts that you can, hand out, like magnets and pins and stuff like that. I'll be your middleman kind of thing. I'll set it all up, package it all up, and send it out. I may also venture in the next couple of years into online party like style boxes. It was something I was doing before. I went back to school and I couldn't get the investment, but that's kind of my plan. My Patreon, which will be getting set up as soon as the new year goes, we're waiting on money to start making stickers and stuff like that. Will be all geared towards that. That is what I've decided to do with my channels. I had to think long and hard what was important to me, and the things that are important to me are my family. I like helping people, I like supporting people, and I enjoy creating. So this is a way that I've come around to doing it. I will still do animation. I'm very slow at it, though. I'm going to take some classes, like I'm going to learn how to use different software. That's my plan, and things like that. So for now, Shardvixen's Magnificent channel is just going to sit there in the little black hole, and I'm going to wait to see what the fallout is. The most important thing you should take from this video, this vlog, is that you should contact the FTC while you can. Write about your experiences, either as a creator or as a viewer, and why you think their rules are vague, that we need those rules to be changed, that we need them to understand that just because a child's in it, or just because you play video games or do animation or do crafting or do educational things, does not mean it is just a child's video. It's more likely it's everybody's video, but it doesn't mean that just children watch it. So it doesn't need to be labeled just under children. If you're doing finger stuff and they're puppets, yeah, that's probably 2 to 5 years old. And then there's no way around that. You cannot say that a 10-year-old is watching puppet, though they might be, but really, you can't say that that's not the target audience. Though 6 to 11 is the target audience that YouTube has said to most of the toy companies that were watching most of their big YouTube channel creators for children's stuff. Anyhow, so that's it. That's all. This is just informal, tell you what I'm doing, what's going on, and how I took it. It doesn't really, for the most part, affect most of us. That is true. But it could. And that's the problem, that it could. It could be the FTC watches you play Mario Racer and say, that's a kid's thing. Or you are making slime. That's a kid's thing, because slime apparently is a kid thing. Adults don't play with slime. That's kind of sad, huh? Or that mom and mom and son are doing video games. Therefore, that's kid content, even though they're playing Half-Life or Portal or, I don't know, something else that's mature. I don't know. Can't think of one. Rainbow Siege. I don't know. So that is when that's what everybody wants. YouTube has failed their creators here. They failed them big time. They threw them under the bus and now have said you're on your own and we're just not going to do anything. Let's hope that they're going to do something about it. Also, please, make a comment to the FTC. Look at some of the things that I'll share in the description. That'll be the best thing. And this is like double the size of most of my vlogs. So, thank you for listening to me. If you listen to the whole thing, I know I ramble. It's how I do things. If you have any questions, message me on Twitter, message me on Facebook, message me on Discord. Make a comment, and I'll get back to you. But really, it's just to inform you and let you know what I'm doing. It's sad, because my grandson really loves that channel. He loves posting things. He loves making things. He's, in his head, he's written a whole script for his Star Wars video he wants to make. But it is what it is. That's how the world is. I'm one person in a billion people, and no one really cares about the one person. It's about the many. Anyway, I hope that made all this clear as mud. Just remember, they're not censoring you. They're just protecting children. They're just doing it in a piss poor way. All right, peace. I'm out of here. Catch you all on the flip side.